Eala begins 2026 campaign in Auckland ahead of Australian Open. Wasting no time to get back in action, Eala is greeting the 2026 tennis calendar as the fourth seed in the WTA 250 ASB Classic in Auckland, New Zealand, on Monday. She will open her campaign against Donna Vekic, WTA number 69 of Croatia and Paris Olympic silver medalist, in the round of 32. Not before 6 a.m., Manila time. The 20-year-old Filipino, ranked number 53 in the world, is fresh from a successful 2025 Southeast Asian Games in Thailand, where she won a gold medal for the Philippines. The Auckland Open stint will be Eala's first training ground, as she prepares for the year's first Grand Slam, the Australian Open, where she is set to make her debut not before January 18th. Eala only began qualifying for Grand Slam events in mid-2025, following a breakthrough run at the Miami Open, where a string of upset victories propelled her into the WTA Top 100. Ahead of the Australian Open, Eala is also scheduled to compete in the Kooyong Classic, an exhibition tournament in Melbourne, on January 13th. While it will be the first time for the two players to meet on the court, Vekic boasts a career-high number 17 ranking and 4 singles titles in the professional ranks. Eala, for her part, has a maiden WTA 125 title she won in Guadalajara last September. The morning air in Auckland carried the quiet promise of a new season. It drifted across the courts like a held breath, cool and sharp, the kind that wakes the senses before the sun fully commits to the day. On a practice court near the harbour, the sound of a tennis ball meeting strings cut through the calm, clean, deliberate, and full of intention. This was where Eala chose to begin her 2026 campaign, not with spectacle, but with purpose. Auckland has always been a city that understands beginnings. Surrounded by water, shaped by movement, it feels like a place where journeys naturally start. For Eala, opening her season here ahead of the Australian Open was more than a scheduling choice. It was a statement. She was stepping into the year with clarity, embracing the long road ahead rather than rushing toward the destination. Eala arrived without unnecessary noise. No grand announcements, no dramatic entrances, just a young athlete walking onto court with a racket bag slung over her shoulder and a focus that seemed older than her years. The off-season had passed, full of training blocks, adjustments, and quiet decisions. Now, the work would be tested under real skies, real pressure, and real expectations. The 2026 season carried a different weight for her. She was no longer simply the promising talent or the one to watch. She had become a contender, still growing, still learning, but firmly planted in the professional landscape. Every tournament now came with opponents who had studied her game, analysts who tracked her patterns, and crowds who expected something special. Auckland was her first answer to all of that. On the court, her movement spoke first. Lighter on her feet, more efficient in transition, she glided between baseline and net with a confidence built through repetition. Her forehand, long praised for its timing and fluidity, now carried more bite, a sharper edge that pushed opponents back. The backhand followed, steady and unafraid, a reminder that balance had become her greatest strength. Between points, Eala's eyes often lifted briefly toward the stands, not searching for approval but grounding herself in the moment. Auckland's crowd, known for its warmth and respect for the game, responded in kind. They watched not just the shots, but the story unfolding, a young athlete shaping her season one rally at a time. What set this campaign apart was not just technical improvement, but emotional control. In previous seasons, flashes of frustration sometimes broke through during tight moments. In the early rounds of the Auckland tournament, patience ruled. Missed shots were met with calm resets. Long rallies ended with quiet nods, not visible relief or despair. It was the demeanor of someone who understood that January tennis is not about perfection, it is about preparation. Off the court, Eala's presence was equally measured. She spoke of Auckland as a place that allowed her to ease into competition, a city that offered intensity without chaos. Training sessions were balanced with recovery walks along the waterfront, the rhythm of waves mirroring the cadence she wanted in her game. Each day built toward Melbourne, but none were rushed. The Australian Open loomed ahead, massive and magnetic, but Eala resisted the temptation to look too far forward. She understood that Grand Slam success is earned in the weeks before, in matches that don't always make headlines. Auckland was one of those proving grounds, a place where confidence could be built honestly, without shortcuts. Her matches reflected that mindset. There were moments of brilliance, a perfectly disguised drop shot, a passing winner threaded down the line, a fearless return taken Eala. But there were also long, grinding games where she had to defend, adjust, and wait. Those were the games she valued most. They tested her resolve and reminded her that growth rarely comes in highlight reels. As the tournament progressed, conversations around the grounds grew quieter but more focused. Coaches leaned in. Spectators stayed a little longer. There was a sense that Eala was not just playing to win matches, but to establish tone. Her 2026 campaign was beginning not with a declaration, but with consistency. And in tennis, that can be far more powerful. The final days in Auckland carried the subtle energy of transition. Win or lose, Eala's purpose remained steady. She had found her footing for the season, and that was victory enough. Each practice session became sharper, each match a little more revealing. Melbourne awaited, loud and demanding, but she would arrive prepared, not rushed, not burdened, but ready. On her last evening in the city, the sky faded into soft shades of orange and blue. Eala stood briefly at the edge of the court after practice, listening to the echo of her final rally. It wasn't a dramatic moment. No cameras lingered. But in that quiet space, the season truly began. Auckland had done its job. It had given her a beginning rooted in intention. As she packed her bags and turned her focus toward the Australian Open, one thing was clear. Alexandra Eala was not chasing the year ahead. She was meeting it, step by step, shot by shot, with the patience of someone who knows that the best campaigns are built from the ground up.